Yeah, it's just really causing a lot of excitement, bringing all those Caitlin Clark has brought all those fans to the game, but I think in that happening, as we witnessed in the recent draft, some of that fandom is bringing some negativity to it as well, which is causing a little kerfuffle. I thought it was real interesting that Indiana drafted Raven Johnson, who had a little bit of a beef with Caitlin Clark in college. We all, if you remember, Caitlin Clark had done the year before South Carolina won the championship, and they had actually lost to Indiana. Caitlin Clark was waving Raven Johnson off like she can't shoot, let her shoot, and which was kind of seen as kind of disrespectful. Well, the very next year, Raven Johnson locked her up and kept them from winning the championship, in South Carolina ended up winning. So, we made sort of a rivalry about that. So it's kind of interesting that those two are ended up on the same team with this most recent WNBA draft. So they keeping it live and spicy by doing stuff like that. And the game is growing. They're paying the women more. So I'm really excited about what's going on in the women's game right now for lots of reasons.
They need to, because to be honest with you, man, I want to see some spice. I want to see some, I guess, a little bit of something added to the game. This not just the game. I think the personalities are great, man. Like, dealing with the personalities and the way that I mean, some of that what happened with in the NCAA women's semifinals and the Final Four. That I feel was a big thing, because that brings spice to it, man. That makes you want to talk about it. That makes you interested. It can't just be a bunch of people missing layups all the time.
Oh, you must be
Man,
talking about the Gino Ariema situation and Don Staley and the controversy around that, bringing some excitement and energy. Is that what you're referring to, Mr.
yes. Yeah, man. All of that, man, brings eyeballs to the women's game. It brings eyeballs to the game, and it makes it their own thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, it makes it interesting. It makes me invested. I think that's the biggest thing. Like, I felt that's my opinion, is that when you're invested, when you're close to the game, it means something to you. And I think that's how they're gonna be able to, not by staging something like it's the WWF, but I mean, making the human side, let it be what it is. If they don't like each other, hey, that's cool. So what? I think that's a
Well,
good thing, instead of trying to keep it corporate,
Yeah, the
hey,
only
well,
let
thing
it
I
be what it
know,
is.
I don't know why they don't like Caden Clark, because she's the reason why they all getting paid right now. You can say what you want to.
Exactly.
Bring
yeah, but
She's
I don't
bringing
think people
money.
dislike Caitlyn as much as you guys think. I think that people are questioning the over sensationalized worship almost of Caitlin Clark being one of the greatest ever already, when truly she hasn't won anything yet. She's a fantastic player. Caitlin Clark is a great player, and no doubt about any of that. And I agree with you guys that she has brought those fans to the game. I've been on this program and said 100%, if the number one demographic group in this country is Caucasian females, and you want to get that group watching your game, to have another Caucasian straight female is what they're looking for to be the whatever to their daughters and all of that. Me personally, that's not important. I'm a fan of just the game itself and just all of the dynamics and the athleticism and the historic great players going back to the Joyce Walkers and the Cheryl Millers and folks like that. So that part intrigues me more. But I don't, if you take the average person like me, I like, I think Caitlin Clark's a great player, and there's no hatred towards Caitlin Clark. She certainly is helping them all, raising boats and bringing more money in. She's just not the greatest player. I'm not going to, give her that, or even,
Yeah,
there
but
game to date that are
I
better
don't
than
think
her.
she's the greatest player, but her skill level and what she can do with the basketball, to me, was obviously heads and shoulders above average, above what the
Yeah, of
most of
course.
what I saw. And to be honest with you, I struggled at times watching some of their games, because at times some of those games just look ridiculous. They'll get on threads where they just going back and forth, missing baskets. And that frustrated me, with somebody and players like her with the ball in their hand. They can control the rock. They can move the ball around. Who can shoot and hit the three. That's not happening in the rate that you see her doing it. So I think she ups that level, and does it make everybody mad because she getting credit for it? Maybe, but I think she brings a thing to the game like Larry Bird and Magic Johnson did.
Well, I don't think that. I think that what happens is that lay people or people that don't necessarily watch as much don't see that there's other players that that can handle the ball like that and do those
Right,
things.
but what she does though, like you talk about demographics, Greg. Well, she got this one African male guy watching the game. But what I realized is that there are players, man, who can shoot this well. There are great players like Elisa Collier. That girl, to me, is the second best player in the game, other than the girl from Vegas. I mean, but I became fans of other players because of Caitlin Clark because she got me.
But that was my thing is that she brought in lay people that started watching the game and then seeing that there's players in the league that are better than her. And another person that did that was Angel Reese. I mean, she has a following that's, second to none. I think she has the largest social media following out of anybody in the in the WNBA. So you look at her and you look at Caitlin Clark and you look at their rivalry and what that brought a lot of faces to the league. With Angel Reese being traded to Atlanta this year, she'll be on a team that that's going to be good and they can win, and so that's going to be a team to look out for also. So, but what I don't like is that I think what upsets me too much, I think, is that Caitlin Clark gets too much credit for doing things that I think she's been helped by, especially someone like Aja Wilson doesn't get the credit that she should be getting as the face of the league, which,
Hey,
she should be.
when she
Well, she
started,
been around, and I ain't put it like this. Asia
yep,
Wilson been around the league. I ain't wanted to watch. I done watched her play and watch games, and I wasn't interested. But I'm interested now. And Angel Reese is one of those reasons, but Clark was a big reason, a big part of that. Why
Aja
be
Wilson
mad
just
at her?
Aja
Why
Wilson
be mad
just
at her? Because
signed.
she putting butts in the
I'm
seats.
not mad at her at all. I'm mad or not
Yeah,
mad. I just don't feel it's fair
Here's
that she gets
yeah.
she gets labeled as she's the one that's getting everybody paid or she's the one that's
she
bringing
is
all.
the one.
And I don't think that's
She
true.
She
I think
is.
is.
that
Oh man,
It
come on.
is true.
I
But
think
you
that was
guys,
Everybody else
hold
Angel
on,
Reese
hold
and
on.
Asia
Asia,
Wilson.
hey, wait,
Okay,
wait a
let me
minute. Asia
crystallize this a
Wilson
little
just
bit.
got Asia Wilson just got the largest contract in history. She's got a $5 million
That
history.
ain't because of
Like,
Caitlin Clark. And
man,
that's the
So
please.
thing is that we
That,
can't give
that's
Caitlin.
every reason.
It's
Why
partly
you
because
think they got the
it's
She
TV
partly
deal?
don't.
because
She
of
didn't get
that.
credit
She,
for it.
see, right
she's
now
definitely.
we're all kind of talking and nobody. Let me crystallize this. Let me ask this question because I think this is really what sums it up, you guys. Troy, Don, and Chuck are right about this part. Caitlin Clark and her popularity and the folks that she brought to the game is the biggest reason why women's basketball is getting spotlighted like it is now. But the real question to me is why is that so? It's not because she's so great in basketball. That's the real underlying question because there are players just as good or better than her that have gone before her and they didn't cause that. I go back to the 2018 NCAA Women's Final Four when Arike Ogunbowale, who can handle the ball just as good or better than Caitlin Clark, who can shoot just as good or better than Caitlin Clark, hit two deep logo buzzer beater type shots in the biggest moments and won the national championship. But that didn't bring people to the game. What I think the real question is how come when other people did that, it didn't bring it? And that again is my contention. And my point is the way the algorithms with social media and all of that stuff work is they're going to capitalize on a person that everybody thinks can be that role model that everybody is going to like. And everybody's not going to like a non-white, non-hetero female basketball player. It's kind of like the Rosa Parks syndrome. when the NAACP decided to do the bus boycott around Rosa Parks, it was because she was married, she was a mom, everybody they knew would get behind her. The single women, the younger women, those that weren't necessarily model citizens, they couldn't build that rally around them. So they waited for Rosa Parks. They waited for Caitlin Clark, and they built a machine behind her because they knew they could market her because she had everything that they needed. So that's why Chuck, who doesn't watch women's basketball, all of a sudden on his screen, he's going to see all the clips, all the sizzle reels, all the highlights of a Caitlin Clark because she's the one they could build the machine around. But that's smart. That's great. That was a great business move. So for the business of the WNBA and for the pay of all of those women, what they did with Caitlin Clark was smart. Troy, you as a basketball purist and somebody who watches the game and knows all the players, feel some kind of way about why didn't they do that with a Agumba Wale? Why didn't they do that with another player? But that's just the reality. So my point is that's where this divide is. Chuck and Don are right about her making these opportunities possible. But the real cold question is why is that the case? Because this is who we are in America. You can't build that excitement around somebody that doesn't fit what they want to build it around.
See, and my only pushback on that is Caitlin Clark got hurt last year. And you look at the growth of the league just continue. And
because the momentum started, though, it's like the ball rolling down the hill, Troy. Is once that ball starts rolling down the hill, the momentum's going. So that ball started rolling down the hill.
But people like Angel Reese and people like Flau'jae Johnson and people like that and people like Dawn Staley and people like that have also brought large and contributed to it. So we can't just say it was Caitlin Clark. That's my whole point. It wasn't just her. She's a large player. I'm not taking anything away from it, but when we put all the focus on her, I don't think that's true.
I don't say anyone's saying it's just her, Troy, but she was that spark. She was that person they could build this around. She got it going, got the momentum, and they're all benefiting from it. But I do ideology, my values do question why in America all the time does it have to take someone who they will accept in order to make that spark happen. And that's really for me the bigger
great white hope in that scenario.
I can speak for me. I can speak for what I saw, and what I saw is that her skill level was head and shoulders better than the people she was playing. That's what I saw. When I see Angel Reese, I see, somebody that's a big, she's athletic, but I just don't see it. When I don't see a lot of what I saw with her controlling the half court, ball handling skills, her ability to shoot. And then it got to the point to her ability to attract the crowd. Like, that tells you something right there, is that when the other girls get together and is like, hey, we gonna stop her. Come on, man. Like, that's the biggest testament to her being an all-star or a standout as you can make. And in a game where I'm just telling you how I see it, when I struggle to watch because sometimes the skill level just does not look that up to par, when I see somebody that stands out, it sit and I watch. When I and always remember the names. When I saw that girl from who was that was in the Final Four, the girl that came from Notre Dame that was playing TCU. You could tell right off the bat. You can tell, man. Wow. You can tell when people stand out. When you look at them, their athleticism, man, like that means something. Like, and I didn't see a lot of that before. I saw a lot of sloppy play, and I feel like it's getting better. But I feel like it's getting better because of people like that, and they making other people step their game up. Just like, to me, she having more of what I would think is the Steph Curry effect. Like, it's different, it's eye-opening, it's what people want to see, and she shooting that mug from downtown, and that's exciting, and that adds a lot. I think it's faulty to be like, I know she white, and I think she kind of funny looking, but so it's not like a appeal of the eyes. To me, it's just she just better. She just good, and of course, I'm not that intimate with the game, so I'll stick around and watch some more. But honestly, sometimes I struggle with that, and I'm trying.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
understand what you're saying, Troy, but I mean, Chuck, but I think it would be disingenuous to say that the fact that she's a hetero white person doesn't matter in this, that it's just her play. I think that also is going too far because you look at a player like Juju Smith, who is just as skilled with the ball, who's way more athletic, who actually plays defense as well. So I'm just saying throughout history, there have been some really good players. I'm saying Caitlin Clark is a great player. Caitlin Clark is also someone that they could build the momentum around. And I think people should be appreciative of what Caitlin Clark has done. I think those people who really enjoy women's basketball and follow it would say that she is one of the great players, but she's not the only great player or the greatest player. But she also has been the one that they were able to build this around. As someone who's been watching the game for a long time, I can appreciate, when you go back and think about some of the great players that have played at UConn who've been just as talented and, not as you say, running around missing layups and stuff. Maya Moore was not running around missing layups. Maya Moore was dunking the back. And you
She
look
was
at
good.
that I love
Yeah,
from
Diana Taurasi was it?
The
Diana
greatest,
Taurasi
the
was
greatest, the
yeah.
greatest player never played a minute in the WNBA. And that's Cheryl
well, if
Miller.
you're talking about Cheryl Miller, you mean the greatest women's basketball player never played a minute in the
Man, look,
WNBA. But I think that
look. Hey,
again,
look.
that's debatable. That's debatable. She was a great player, absolutely. But I think what you're saying, Chuck, when you think about the skill set that a Caitlin Clark has now compared to a Cheryl Miller, things evolve over time. People back in those days, even on the men's game, weren't handling the ball the way what Kyrie Irving can do with the basketball right now. Isaiah Thomas wasn't doing that, but what Isaiah Thomas could do with the basketball at that time was greater than anybody else could do it. The game evolves over time and the skill sets evolve. And then you have girls nowadays that are Caitlin Clark age who started dribbling at 2 and 3 and 5 years old, where decades before that, women weren't doing that. So I think it's hard to compare eras and say Caitlin Clark is way better skill wise than all these other women because she's in this era. So now you look at the people who are in this era with her, and I think those are better comparisons. When you see a Juju who's coming up next, when you see some of these girls that are coming behind her and the skill sets that they have, I think we'll see, more of that looks like that. And again,
Yeah.
I can appreciate Caitlin Clark and all the players for what they've done for the game. And I think this is a seminal moment for women's basketball, and she's the biggest part of that. But I think now we'll see as these young ladies carry the game on, how they continue to cultivate the opportunity that Caitlin Clark and the fandom around her. But again, in the United States of America, it's still sad that we can't do that same thing with a Goomba Wale. Her name in itself exempts her from being able to create that excitement and that momentum. Because I'm telling you, what she did, Chuck, in 2018 was unseen. And you go from the national semifinal and you scored all these points and you hit a buzzer beater from the logo, and then you turn around in the national championship and do the same thing. I think you probably don't even know that happened with her. But that's what I'm saying. That if Caitlin Clark had done those two same things, it would have been all over the world. And that's my point.
Yeah.
My point is, hey, I mean, I agree, but the
Mhm.
bottom line is she was able to help elevate the game.
Everybody,
No matter
absolutely.
no matter what you say,
I agree with that.
they don't have to go to Russia no more to go out and play. Homegirl don't have to get arrested and have to sit in jail for 8 months, anymore. And
Brittany Griner, we'll throw her name out there. We
it
don't have
happened,
to
and it's good
take
for
innocence.
the game of basketball.
I agree with that, but my only point is just not her. I think that I just get I don't understand why you guys feel like it was just
It's about marketing, Troy. That's it. I mean, she brought the audience, man. She brought the money.
so did Angel. Look at the social media followings and see who has more Angel
but
or Caitlin Clark.
That's
But
like
Let me say something about Troy. Let me say something about the social media, Troy. If you put a lot of effort into your social media, you can get followers. So Angel Reese is intentionally doing more effort to get followers, where Caitlin Clark is not. She's just going out there playing basketball. So let's not convolute.
I'm not saying Angel. I'm not taking anything away from Caitlin Clark. I'm not
Caitlin
taking
Clark
anything
don't
away
look
from her.
like
I'm just saying you guys are giving her all the credit, and I'm just saying that
I'm
all the
not giving her
credit
all
does
the
not
credit.
go to Dawn Staley in South Carolina. Would they win like 2 or 3 consecutive? They've been in the Final Four. They've been bringing eyes to the game, and Dawn Staley
Absolutely.
and has been in the South Carolina team, and the girls have been pumping out WNBA players year after year after year. You got to give her
This is
some
the
credit.
point, though, Troy. That's not it. Obviously, the people that came before CC deserve. I mean, they're the ones that really deserve it, but they're not going to get it because they didn't make it happen. They
Yeah,
want
I'm not
to get
saying she
money,
didn't.
but when
I'm
CC came, it changed everything. That's what we're
Hey,
talking about.
so
Who deserved it?
I'm not saying she's not one of the people that has brought the game alive. I'm just saying that she's not the only one. I'm just saying I don't
I don't
like
know
the
who's
fact that
arguing
That's
with
everybody.
the
you on
point.
that.
I think that's
I
not.
don't know
like
who's
the
That's not what
arguing
we
with you on
you
that,
don't like
Troy.
the fact that she white. That's it. And look, what about this? Is like this to me. This is like a dead argument. This is like saying Dr. J and Dr. J ain't one of the greatest ever. I'm a big Dr. J fan. But Bird and Magic ties back to the game. You cannot
Thank you.
say that they did not bring what it took to put the NBA at a different level. So you're gonna say, "Oh, is it only Bird?"
That's a different argument.
It's
That's a
not a
different
different
time.
argument.
I
It's
agree with
not.
that.
It's Bird and
It's
Magic
not.
brought that
Yeah.
funk to
It's
the
not.
NBA.
It's not.
Caitlin
It's
Clark
not a
is
different. It's the
bringing
same
that
argument.
to the
Was
W.
other
disagree
girls
with
that
that
came out
one.
at the
That's
same
all.
time as Caitlin Clark. My only point is there was other girls and other people that came out at the same time as her that helped bring eyes. I'm not saying that she didn't. I'm not
No,
saying that she doesn't have a large following. I'm not saying that she's not a person that may have been the top person to bring eyes to it, but she's not the only one, is what I'm saying.
man, she went to the finals twice in a row. She was a top scorer.
She never won
She played.
nothing.
Say what? But she
Yeah.
created. She created a buzz. She created a following. Like that was organic, man. Ain't nobody post her up. That was totally organic. You trying to
Yeah.
take
Two
something away
separate
from her? I can't go with you on
I'm
that one.
not.
That
I'm
was
not at
two
all.
separate
that was
hold on.
organic, man. It was
I'm
what
just
it
not
Hold on.
was.
bowing
Two
down to
separate
her because she's
conversations and arguments. This one I'll argue, okay? Whether she clearly to me is the one who our society said pick her to create this buzz, and she's the main. I'm not going to argue with you, Troy. I've never said she's the only one because it's not a one woman league, but she's the main one. Let's agree on that. She's the
okay.
main. Now, when it comes to
By
the
far.
greatest, yeah, when it comes to the greatest players out there right now, she got to fall in line. She's one of the really good players, but I think there are other players right now that from a playing standpoint, now this is where Chuck is off. You know, Chuck sees her and thinks she's the only skilled player in the league when I know she's not, you know, but that's Chuck. You know, we know Chuck. Chuck gonna watch maybe 2 WNBA games and he sees one missed layup and he's gonna say they're all horrible and scrubs. But that's his right to feel that way. I think that's a whole different conversation.
Junior high
Right
school
now,
boys basketball.
yeah. Yeah. And I'm not doubting or arguing because we are bigger, stronger, faster than women for the most part. And that's just reality. And so when you get to the physical part of the game, now skills are relative. I think there's some really skilled women's players, and maybe because they're not as strong, they can't shoot as far out, or maybe they can't jump as high. But I think their skill development is certainly catching up with the men. And that's because, Chuck, when you think about our society for a long time where women were told playing sports is for boys and that's manly and they've been discouraged. But now you got probably 3 generations of women who have started to play sports since a young age. And so I think over time, Chuck, that gap in the skill level that you see is going to close. It's going to get closer because you're going to have women now. Like I said, I see little girls out there training now that are 5, 6 years old. I was at my granddaughter's middle school game. And there's this little girl, last name Ladd. Her dad played college basketball. Man, she's 7th grade, 12 years old. She's crossing people over, breaking ankles, step back threes. I'm seeing all of this in middle school girls. So, you know, you'll see Juju and the evolution of the players continue to grow now because women have been playing long enough. So there's certainly still a gap, Chuck. I'm not naive and I'm
And
not
they care,
arguing
and
that.
they care more.
They're
And
catching up.
that's a big thing is that
No, the
what you
men
care
carry all the
about,
time.
you huh?
Oh, you said care. I thought you
They
said
care
carry.
more. Like they're more interested. It is a
Yes,
societal shift.
absolutely.
And what you
Yeah.
care about, you'll invest more time in. You know, physically, I don't expect them to catch up with men, but I don't want to
Yeah.
see junior high school boys basketball no more and passing it off as professional. I think because I actually think the women's game can be better. I just think we've been given what we're getting based on, hey, these are people who want to play. But it's a girl doing her nails, that's been told she need to go get her hair done and she don't want to sweat her hair out, but she probably the best athlete in the school. Now those girls are play. And I
Yeah,
think that's the
exactly,
difference, is that it's becomes
exactly,
way more acceptable. So
acceptable.
we'll get more of the cream of the crop, which I'm willing to
Yeah,
see, want to see. I
Yeah.
just
Take your
I
time.
just don't want to see no
Yeah.
more bouncing the ball
Well,
off
I
the
mean,
backboard like
you got to really
it's
give it an
handball.
opportunity. I mean, because like you look at somebody like Paige Beckers, and I believe, and you talk about white versus black. For me, that don't matter. Paige Beckers is white as they can be. She's from Minnesota though, so I do have a little affinity from her, but for her. But Paige can play, and she's just as good of a ball player as Catlin Clark. And like Greg said, the only difference may be the straight
you.
versus gay argument. I'm not
That's
sure, but Paige
100% true.
Beckers can flag
That is
goal, and we're
100%
gonna
true.
see this year.
You guys are you guys aren't giving Cece her credit for her game though, man. That
You ain't
girl,
giving Paige
she's the
Beckers
best
credit
point
either.
guard in the WNBA. She was all NBA her first year. I mean, the way she passes the ball is incredible. Her ability to run and flow through the offense, man, is incredible. Did you see in the Olympic? I mean, with the Olympic team, she won the MVP of the tournament just a few weeks ago. The way
You
she
mean the
carried herself.
international team, not the Olympic
Yeah,
team, but yeah, the
well,
U.S.
it's
national
not.
team.
It's
U.S.
going to be the
national.
Olympic team.
But just
It's
call
gonna
it the
be
U.S. national team for sake
right,
of
right, right. They're gonna most of those guys going to be on the Olympic team anyway.
it.
But anyway,
Girls.
the way she's, I mean, and the way she played her first year, rookie year, but she was hurt last year. I think you're going to see this year. I think she's going to separate herself from a lot of people.
We'll see, but I bet you when it comes down to the end of it, she's not going to be the one holding MVP trophy
If
or
she
the
make
championship trophy.
MVP, Troy, you gotta wear a Caitlin Clark jersey every show next year.
If she and if
She
if
doesn't, then Chuck, you got to watch every WNBA game that's televised next year on all networks. How
I'll
about
take
that?
that bet. I will go buy a Caitlin Clark jersey
I
and
will
wear
send
it
you
on
a
every show.
jailbroke fire stick.
Okay, we heard it here first, y'all. We heard it's on the
I'm
table.
trying to get in the bet too. So you gotta buy a Beckers